Hugo sent it to me, and I had never read anything like it before, you know. And also, I think often the television projects I have been sent, I'm just sent one little tiny piece of it at the beginning. You know, they send you a pilot, and then you know, you're meant to sign up and kind of just go for it. And that seems terrifying to me. This was terrifying enough, and I had all 8 episodes. But because I had all 8, well, originally it was 7 and it grew into 8, but because I had the whole piece, it was, you know, it was so expertly put together, exquisitely put together, the thriller aspect of it, which isn't possible if you're writing each episode each week. I mean, it was obviously incredibly considered by Hugo. So the thriller aspect of it was amazing, and I kept reading episode after episode over a weekend. But then underneath that, and to be honest, you know, this is the part that interests me more, there was this, like, a beating heart that I could feel. And I could feel that it would demand of me that I really learn something about myself in order to do it. And so that's what drew me to it, and it's also what repelled me, because I'm like, I don't think I can take this on right now. And I tried a bunch of times not to do it. And then it just became impossible because it was so good.
Well, first of all, I was attracted to the script because I think it's one of the most intelligent scripts I've ever read. There's something of a masterpiece within there. It's hard to believe that it's come from one man's head, really. I mean, I think there are something silly like 95 characters or something, and all quite fully formed, and so that's quite a rarity, I think. And there's a real zing when you're reading it, a real crackle, and you know, the pages just flip over, and I was just totally intrigued. There were no real patterns to the writing that I'd recognised from other pieces of writing that I'd read before. I just thought, well, I literally have no idea where this is going. How's this going to develop? Who is this man? Who are these people? And so intriguing and exciting to read. And within that, Ephra is a man with secrets, a very troubled individual, one who goes on quite a large journey within the story and is forced to make certain sacrifices along the way, but is essentially a good person. None of his actions are done through any badness or through any ill, but it's those sacrifices which might inevitably cause the sibling relationship to fracture. And so a very interesting character to play in, very torn and tormented, and exceptionally high stakes. I've always loved anything that deals with high stakes as an actor, and this is high stakes from the word go. And right through all 8 episodes, you can't let the ball drop. And Hugo had said, you know, when I first met him, that Ephra should always have beads of sweat in the small of his back. And yeah, and he's absolutely right. There's really one scene where Ephra isn't troubled or distracted, or, you know, something on his mind, on his conscience. So yeah, it was a brilliant character to play.
I had never seen such depth of possibility. And, you know, sometimes things just call you, and this was that way. And then, you know, it's like I watched the first episode, I watched this speech that she gives about Israel and Palestine and about the work she's doing there that Hugo wrote, that I performed, and I thought, she's so incredibly graceful and intelligent. And of course she has a long way to go to become who she ultimately is, and she's, you know, there's big parts of her that I think are in darkness at the beginning, but being asked to find the parts of myself that are that graceful and that intelligent was, just even to begin with, such a massive challenge. I'd never seen anything like that. And then on the other side, she's, you know, sleeping with strangers in the, you know, stairwell to her apartment, and that's also requires like a whole nother set of colors that I know, and these complicated relationships with the people in her family. I mean, in every way, everywhere I turned, it was the possibility was so deep. It was infinite, actually. And so when it's that way, you can put yourself into it and see how much of yourself can change and shift and grow by playing it.
I've had a lifelong interest in the region. I think historically, obviously it's a cauldron of identity on a macro international level, that region. To visit it, you feel this construction of who you are, of who we are, and historically that's always been the case. Because that's not the story you want to tell. You want to tell a story about human individuals, specify this. So as a backdrop, it was really something I've always engaged in. But in the foreground, what I wanted to do was engage in a woman's character who was idealistic and charismatic enough to take a front step onto an international political stage, not seeking to resolve a situation, but no longer to contribute to the problems of it. Now, of course, in such an idealistic statement, you can't it's like you can't observe something unobserved. You can't do something without an effect. And that effect is going to be negative and positive and all the things that she is necessarily going to get herself involved in. But it was really interesting to me that once we saw a woman take that stance, what then is the vacuum, the irreconciled part of her personality that both propels her to take that stance, and also as a journey that we take with her, propels her to look backwards into herself so that she can get rid of that void, to reconcile her own spirit. And perhaps that's the real point of the story, because the intractable macro issue isn't for us to solve, and we sure as hell ain't trying to do it. The whole way to make such a relationship work is to start at the beginning with clear eyes about what this project is and what it isn't. And if anybody starts doing a brush flannel kind of, it's maybe that, maybe this, particularly the creator, in their desperation to have the funding, whatever it is, it will end badly, but really realistically. And it's far better to have a strong, authoritative idea of this is what it is. Do you want to get involved in that? Because it's not going to be this, it's going to be that. And that, right the way down, makes the whole process, once people get that clarity, then in fact it releases you as an individual, me as a person, to liberate them to become involved. You know, it's not a dictatorship, you know, because we're going this way, like you're pulling against the stream. Everybody gets involved to do the same thing with the same vision and the same focus. And that takes a whole weight off my shoulders and allows them to make real and truthful contribution. In
some way, that doesn't articulate what a collaborator you are, because I've never worked with anybody in my life who was as interested and trusting of me. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if, how did you know that we had the same idea? Because I'm sure that if we met...
You feel it.
Yeah, I guess you feel it.
It's just the tremors of water, you know, of vibrations on a water surface. And it's, I didn't know the character until Maggie played her. I only know where that character could have come from. I don't know who she is until Maggie plays her. Then once Maggie immediately found the truth and authority and authenticity of that character, then all I have to do is witness it.